Yeah, so I think we're live, no?
Okay.
When as I said, let me just do one quick thing before we get started. So, hello everybody, welcome to the live stream of 032 Conversations. This podcast is sponsored by Bix Recovery Supplement. So, after every long bicycle ride, it's usually not the end of my day because I'm a dad. So, the rest of the day is still spent taking care of my kids and doing stuff I need to do in the house. So, recovery is super important to me. So, after a long bicycle ride, I like to take Vicks Recovery Supplement as part of my recovery routine. And it was recommended to me by my friend Terence Go, who's an ultra endurance trail runner. So anything he recommends, I look at seriously. And after really trying it, I've been drinking it on a regular basis. So if you want your Bix Recovery Supplement, order yours at their Instagram account, instagram.com/Focus Recovery PH. And lastly, so over the years, 032 Conversations has had over 100 interviews. So I've been blessed to be able to talk to so many interesting people. And you can check out those interviews in the archives of 032.com. So today, I'm interviewing Daryl Aloba Carabio. Sakto ba? Sakto ang...
Yes, sakto. Sakto.
kana, he's
Kuan,
an architect.
Lucio.
Ha?
Nickname Lucio.
Lucio. Si
Yes.
Lucio de atong kastorya. He's an architect, urban planner. He's connected with Cebu Holdings and Ayalaland, and he's an advocate for better cities. This is especially true with his part being part of kanang Baktas Tindak Society plus. Kamusta ba? How are you?
Okay ra, okay ra. I think we all share the same experience karon nga pandemic. Stay at home and then yeah, maybe magkawat-kawat lang og rides kana lang. But of course maintain social distancing and the masks. So yeah.
So ni-ride ka this morning ba?
This morning wala sa because ako sinus it's been disturbing me. I'll share later on why nga naibalik ako sinus problems.
Oh, sige.
Nana
So,
siya reason.
where do you like to ride usually?
Usually I ride during the lockdown. I'm in Bandawe actually. So during ECQ pa sa Cebu City, I usually ride during GCQ I usually ride in Cebu City. Busay, maybe Buhisan, and then of course the Guadalupe Loop. I think you're also familiar with that in
Mm.
Calunasan. Yeah, so that's my usual route. But during the lockdown, I got to discover the beautiful mountains here in Mandaue, and then Lason, and then I just reached Diluan. So it's really nice here po day. So it's just I'm in Mandaue, so it's literally in the backyard.
Bay, kana nga area dapit kanang Talamban for me, it's
Yes,
it's
yes,
the best. Daghan kayo kanang lusutanan ba? Like mawa ko nga
yes.
ra bay.
Oh, yes.
Mawa ko nga
Pulang
ra.
Bato, Pulang Bato.
Yeah. Saka ka pulang bato niya from there daghan na kay kag like maadtuan like wa pa na nako na explore kaayo. So I'm here in
Yes.
Lahog unya in Lahog for me like if ganahan ra ko kanang dili layo kaayo, it's either kanang Trans Central or kanang Guadalupe. And
Uh,
if magpalayo-layo gamay, pwede pa buhisan. But wala kayo eh. Kana lang ba, murag after you do that a couple of times, murag nangita na sa
yes.
kaglain and then
Uh,
may kana ba the Talamban area for me, may kanang pinakanindot gyud, no?
yes. But you know what, bay? Sa pa-explore lang ako. The mountains are really nice, pero it's also sad to seeing every now and then dagko kay subdivisions like na flat out jud ang Tibuok Hills. So I
Yeah.
think that's true for the Pulambato. That there's so many quarrying going on over there. So yeah, it's a bit sad. Makita po gaana.
Well, that's the thing when you live in a city ba kanang especially like Cebu nga daghan-daghan nagtao and yeah, it's becoming bigger and everything ba, no? So of course that's why I know, we both like bikes. We could probably talk a lot about bikes, but But the reason why I wanted you here was kanang what I was interested in talking to you because you're of course you're part of Baktas Tindak Society Plus, and then somehow you're also behind the scenes. There's something happening with the LGUs in terms of finally putting up bike lanes, no?
Yes.
But before we get to all that, so it says here in your bio ka ng advocate for better cities, di ba? Can
Yes.
you can you talk about that? How did that come about?
Okay. I think I can share this on how we started the Baktas Tindak Society lang.
Mm.
Um, are you familiar with the ano, the bridge issue, the one where the governor did not allow people from walking and using bikes across?
Yes,
Are you familiar? Yeah,
ni join ko sa
yeah.
the
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 ride,
ride,
the ride.
the ride. Oh,
Yes,
katong protest ride, the protest ride.
yes. I joined that too actually. So
Mm.
it started there. I was so noisy in Facebook back then. I just kept on making noise, and then I realized
Yeah. Oh,
maybe
it's
I
just
should make a
sorry,
page.
sorry, Dal. Let me just kind of for the viewer lang so that they can understand. So
Okay.
in the bridges
Okay.
katong because there were people who were kanang jumping off the bridge, diba? There was one
Yes,
video
yes.
where one of the people
There-
who jumped off the bridge kani bike siya padung adto and then he jumped off and then somehow along the way they made a rule that you cannot bike through the bridges and then totally ignoring all of the people who bike commute from Mactan to
To
Mandaue or Cebu
Mandaue.
City. No, ignoring
Yes,
that
yes,
fact na lang yun, somehow equated the suicide to people on bikes, which is anyway. Oh, so kana.
yes.
So that's where
That's
BTS.
the reason.
Mm,
Yeah, yeah.
so that's
So it's also sad because they disallowed people from crossing the bridge by means of walking and biking, and then there wasn't any option given. So it really made me frustrated. So I kept on making noise in Facebook, and then eventually I realized maybe I should write a page so that there's a proper that's the venue that I'm going to use to keep on making noise. It was actually called carbon footprint reducer during that time. It wasn't BTS plus pa. So fast forward during COVID na, I noticed. I mean, we all noticed the surge of cyclists in the roads. And then this wasn't only happening here in the Philippines; it was worldwide. And then me and my friends, there's three of us. They're also architects and planners. We kept on having these conversations, individual conversations. It was Mark and Darren. So I messaged to Mark, and then we just keep on. Actually, our convo in Messenger were just all rants on how on how the
uh,
government is addressing everything, and the same with Darren. So we realized that I think maybe we can do something about this. So we finally created a group chat, and then we decided to go on further and make a page. But since I already had this page, the carbon reducer the page, we just used that page because there was already a few followers. I think around 200 or 300 people. So we changed the name to BTS. It was just BTS without the plus. So B for Baktas, T for Tindak, and then Society. And then later on, there were people asking, how about us, kato mga nag-skateboard or mga nag-scooter? And then we also noticed that there's this BTS Korean group, and then we might get bashed for using their initial. So so we added the plus, and then the plus also represents some other things like being environmentally responsible, the trees, even pets. We can talk about pets. So plus is a big addition to the name BTS. So going back to the cycling advocacy, the BTS. So during the pandemic, there was a surge of cyclists. So I think it's high. So we talk about making a proposal, even just highly conceptual, just to stir things up, to get people's attention. So we came up with this cycling network. It's called the Imaginary Cycling Network for Cebu City.
Yeah, that's where I
So
first
yeah, I think you shared that. Yeah,
saw you guys. Like somebody, we had like with a bike group, and then they shared that there. And when I looked at it, kanang Russia, it made sense ba? No?
yeah,
I just want to point it out kay like I actually really thought it was well done, honestly. By
thank you,
kudos to you
thank you.
guys. No, kanang murag it showed. So I've been commuting with a bike for a while here na in Cebu, like the past 2 or 3 years, and then prior to that, nagsigiro kog auto. But then ever since I started commuting with a bicycle, it made me realize how small Cebu is,
Yes,
no?
yes,
And
yes.
like
We
kato
really
sa
pointed that.
yeah, 'di ba? So like kato
Mm.
sa una, like if you wanna go to downtown, maghuna-huna kag adto with a car, kapuyan, that's like that's 2 hours of my life. Di na gid na
And then
madali pag
parking.
ko. Di ka ka-park ana, and then I realized kung nagbike ko, wow, 15-20 minutes kanang, that's dugay na gani na. And then so you
Yes, yes,
showed good nga katong especially when you did like a 2 kilometer radius, you had a map there. You showed that a lot of the a lot of the places that are uh, high volume or commuters go, or high volume of people, they're all within a 2 kilometer radius. And it made it very clear ba. Sorry, I just
yes.
wanted to make sure nga, you know kanang that I wanted to make sure I got to tell you nga, I think that was a really good idea, no,
Yeah,
what you guys
yeah.
did. So you guys made that imaginary bike lanes nga post, diba, like infographic.
Yes, we really did it on purpose na mura siya child friendly. I mean, we talked of Barney, and then the colors were just so
Yeah.
vibrant and everything. So yeah, we made the 2 kilometer radius circle, and then in that circle, you can already fit in the IT park, SM, City Cebu, um, downtown Colon. So it was really Cebu City is really compact. And then if you can even walk if you want to. But yeah, that's another problem, our sidewalks.
Yeah.
So from, so that's another totally another conversation for the sidewalks. But anyway, we further broke down the 2 kilometer radius, and then just distributed, yes, the one that you mentioned, the high volume pedestrian and vehicular traffic areas. So from there, we connected it with the bike lanes. It's pretty straightforward. We just use the major roads because I think it's what cyclists also use. We actually referred to Strava for that one, the
Mm.
heat map in Strava. Yeah, it showed that most of the streets that were used by cyclists were, yeah, the major roads. And then Strava may be a an app used by mostly by recreational cyclists, but I think it can also be applied to those who are doing bike to work because there are not much roads to use naman here in Cebu City. We have the super blocks with no, it's not really porous. So what you have to do is you really have to go to the perimeters of those blocks. So yeah, we used that. We just connected it, those major areas, and then extended it to the areas where there were mostly residents, and then maybe do a bike highway. Just it was purely conceptual. Everything was purely conceptual, and then yeah, we got noticed. I think the first one that we were asked to present to a councilor in Cebu City. So it was well received naman. So but here's the thing about present this is general. Here's the thing about presenting and then you might see na they are supportive of it during the presentation, but you can really get to see how supportive they are after those presentations. Once you do make those follow-ups on what to do next, sir. Asa naman ta, sir? Unsa naman natong buhaton karon? I think that's the full extent of their support. You can see that you can makita nimo. Dira lang makita
Uh,
tanan.
yeah, so so you actually reached out to me to I joined like one or two webinars of like these discussions happening, no? And
Yes.
then one of the webinars, by the way, was katong the one that was held by Katong Pasig.
Yes,
Onya,
that was really good. Yeah. So
that was
that was
really good.
August 10. Yes, yes.
Yeah, that was really good. Number one, like it seems like it's so cool. Number one, that they had an office in charge of that. They put
Yes,
those
yes.
resources,
Really
dude.
cool.
And then you had like, diba, like kita kay, nobody even we don't even know who to approach, diba? But
Yes,
sila,
yes.
they have an office good nga in charge of like what was it like kanang
Ah,
transportation or
yes.
yeah.
Actually, it's called Pasig Transport.
Mm,
But it's not just transport, but it's basically also covers sustainable transportation. They
yes.
really planned it out from policy to social media posts. It's really interesting, and to have a local an LGU for reference for benchmarking, it's really nice because makita na pwede diri sa Cebu because Pasig is also doing it.
Yeah, what I found encouraging about it was that webinar was also there were people from the local LGUs here, ba, and then that they were
Yes,
actually looking at it because, of course, like for so many years, no, there are no bike lanes, good, so you cannot expect the people here to know what to do, and then like for example, so I like to commend like Mandawi and Talisay. Like at least
yes,
they did it
yes,
right away. They
yes.
just they painted
Line.
they just painted a line on the floor. Diba? But like
Talisa is
nako na kay
nice, even blue.
yeah, I know, diba? Yeah, like nako na kay tabang, but like I went to the Talisay bike lane a few days ago. And yeah, we're like, wow, there's a lot of room for improvement in all honesty. Right? But like the one of the issues with Talisa is that like they along their main road there's
Side
lots of
road.
sections that don't have sidewalks.
Yes.
So the people really walk on the road.
Yes.
And then of
Yes.
course in a way it's good na gani. So it's also safer for the pedestrian because they're going on the bike lane. But ikaw, who's supposed to be on the bike lane, there's a pedestrian there. Di ka higit ka sa tao, di ba? But
Oo. Oo.
yun na lang, it's one step more to like towards the pedestrian, but because actually the pedestrian should be the one that is most
Yes. Yes.
kanang high importance, di ba? But
Yes. Yes.
yeah, so it's not perfect, but okay na, okay na.
Okay ra. Okay ra.
Mo na yung problema sa live stream ba sa internet.
Oo. Kay kadog ka ko.
Bye.
Yes,
Nara,
bye.
Nara.
Nara nara.
Okay.
So
Sige.
so
Mo na
talisay
yung
na
problema.
tato.
Yeah, so
Oo.
pero at least na so yeah, but also at the same time katong you invited me to the webinars, I realized nga kanang in a way frustrating sad kaayo because
Yes.
naka-imagine ko nga murag I guess this is how it gets done. Kagets ka?
Yes.
Like
Yes. Daghan kay agian.
oh, can you talk about that, by like so who reached out to you? You guys made that plan for bike lanes, and then after ato, like the city just reached out to you. Who reached out to you specifically? If
Specifically, it's Cebu Leads Foundation.
okay.
It's an NGO. Basically, they're coordinating these kinds of initiatives, and then they're just a coordinating body. And then, as a coordinating body, they just pointed us to the right people to present to. So that's why we got to present to Councilor Garganera. because during that time he was just appointed as the IATF something here in Cebu. So he was the counselor to talk to. So we presented it to him, and he was all positive about it. And then at the same time, he also uses e-scooter. So on a personal level, he can relate to the advocacy. And then we also, I think, when you joined us, that was already, I think, the first webinar that I invited you. It was a presentation with the private developers, with Ayala, with SM, with the Gaisanos. And during that time, I wasn't representing BTS because I was on duty. So I was on the Ayala side, and
Mo.
then it was yes, it was actually Darren who presented for BTS. So yeah, so the process, as mentioned earlier, there's so much people to talk to. That was one. We tried to talk to the private developers just to get their support. We also talked to the academe. We had this webinar with CIT, USC, and USJR. I think other schools, universities also joined us. I For now we're trying to gather as much support as we can. This is with Cebu Leads, and then we're sort of just BTS behind the scenes. They can just uh, call us out anytime if needed. And then another thing is regarding the plans. This is the I think this we should talk about this regarding the plans on the bike networks here in Metro Cebu. It's Mandawi who's really leading the way in terms of planning and implementation. I think just yesterday they installed a bike repair stand. I think you've seen that
Oh, yeah, I
already.
saw that.
Yeah. So in terms of planning and implementation, kudos to Mandawi. They're really doing a great job. And then Lapu-Lapu also has identified a network already. I think they're looking at the circumferential road in Mactan. And then for Cebu City, there are already plans. Um, but I think they're looking at they're doing it by phase. Phase one, they're targeting. I think it got out in the news. Now they're targeting phase one this year. So hopefully it really gets done. And then
Where's gonna be
I
phase
think
one? Would you know?
phase one it's going to cross somewhere in B. Rodriguez, Fuente, Mango, and then it will reach Cebu Business Park in Ayala, all the way up to Mabolo. It's a wide network. Actually, it can reach up to Labangon. So from Mabolo to Labangon, it's a wide loop. It'll also go downtown Colon. So further down Colon, I think near City Hall already. So it's a loop. It's a big phase one, and I think if they can pull that off, it would be really nice. And as of the moment, they're still discussing on to whether to have it shared or really go directly to dedicated lanes. So they're still
Mm,
assessing the road conditions and other stuffs. But I think as of the moment, it's even if it's just paint, I think that's the it's considered as a pandemic response. They want to have it quick, so they use paint, and then later we can just adjust and so on. Maybe we can put the barriers and all. But I think it's also wrong to think that putting these bike lanes would immediately sort of change the mindset of the people, because this is the first time that we're doing it, and then there's a lot of things to improve. Sa unahan lang na ay ali na ay parking, or na ay too big machine in the middle. I don't know. There's a lot of things to improve pa in our bike lane
yeah.
network.
The
In
like
ter-
in
yeah,
Talisay, there's like kind of the water drainage kanang
yeah,
grills. Lagi
yes,
siya sa kanang na ba niya murag masangit ba tani mahog man tani
yes,
no? But
especially for
there's no
road
but
bikes.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. It's nice to see that that it's moving forward. But what I'm surprised is that I'm surprised na Cebu so far it's taking. I mean, Cebu is taking long, but I guess it's also taking long because it might be more complicated, or I don't really know. No, okay. One of the things that when you invited me to the webinar, by one of the things na frustrated ko in a way, not because of what happened in the webinar, na frustrated ko thinking, "Marbuwa nga, if this is the process, it looks like you're it looks like you're just reaching out to whoever, and you have to find the one person who has the power and the will, and the belief, so somebody who actually believes in the project and who's willing to
Yes.
do it, no? Okay, like, so for example, if you or I were in a position of power, for example, na automatic. Di
Oo.
ba?
Oo,
Di
mga
ba?
March pa.
But so it seems like that's what, in a way, I don't know, no, you correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems like that's what you guys are doing. You're looking for that person to champion the cause. Kay, of course, obviously, what happened in Mandaue and Talisay is somebody with the responsibility and the will and the ability to actually do something. Kanang,
They
they
got it
they
done.
were,
Oh, they have it done.
yeah, bitaw, no, bike lane, sige, let's do it, yeah ba.
Yes.
So that's
Oh,
that's why na frustrated ko, because it feels like we're still looking for that person in Cebu City, no?
yes. I mean, we have a lot of good architects, engineers here, and then I think the government should just contact or tap them, and I think we can get things done if really mutuo lang jud sila. Um, I don't know what's. I think you're right in the part na we're still looking at that one who will champion these ideas because I mean, we all got into this COVID thing at the same time, but how come other municipalities are already doing it and Cebu isn't? So I think we should really push through na with these initiatives because another thing that COVID brought to us is this chance to redesign our streets, to reimagine it, and then it would be sad if uh, like now there's talk of vaccines and everything. So once things get back to normal, not really normal, pero in a way, it would be really sad to go back into all that traffic, all that congestion. So yeah, I think this is high time to reimagine our streets. It's not for the streets are not just for cars. That's it's supposed to be for the people. So people, not everyone have their own cars in the city. I think 80% doesn't own cars. So why not give a large portion to that 80%? Why not give them other options? And I think biking is really one way of supporting these people because yeah, during the pandemic there was really a surge of cyclists. I mean everywhere. I mean, now I can see a lot of women riding their bikes, and it's
That's
really
true.
cool to look at. Yeah,
That's
it's
cool.
really
I
cool.
was I was just telling my friend this morning, buying yesterday I went to Talisa. Yeah, that was yesterday. So yesterday I went to Talisa. I went up to Manipis, and and these are recreational riders, but you can see on a day-to-day basis, all you need to do is just go out in the city on a weekday, that there's a lot more bike commuters, no? But anyway, I went to Manipis yesterday, and wow, there were so many cyclists, the most cyclists I've ever seen here in Cebu. Yeah, the nice thing with Manipis is that when you're biking, you're still socially distant. Like daghan kayo
Yes,
actually. But
yes,
you're spread apart. And yeah, basta wala lang mag-congregate, then it's not a big deal. But there were so many cyclists, and a lot of women. A lot of women cyclists, good. And I don't know. It's probably safe to assume that they just bought their bike because they really needed like a way to commute, and then a lot of them just decided, you know what, lingaw man eh, let's try going up to to Manipis,
Yes,
di ba?
yes. Yes, I think
And
that's also how I started doing bike to work. It all started. I also I used to be just a recreational cyclist, and then it slowly evolved into bike to work. You can squeeze in that training on weekdays instead of just having it on the weekend. So I think
oh
it's
yeah,
vice versa for these people today. They bought the bike for bike to work, but they noticed that they can also use it on weekends. So yeah.
yeah. Actually, that's how I got into it. Like for me, I just bought a bike, kanang bike to work. Kay gikapoy na ko going in a car and yeah, getting stuck in traffic. I think wait, I think there's something that we glossed over, ba, because like I wonder if we should discuss nga why it is actually beneficial to create cities that kanang are for the pedestrians and kanang, because when you talk to people, especially like older people, kanang naanad na og auto ba, like
Mm,
it's really a part of in a way it's also like Cebu culture. It really is a part of Cebu culture, the having a car when you, that's
the
why like if a
American dream.
working nga na ba, and but and then you see people complaining about traffic and they don't realize kanang that they are the traffic. I mean, kanang yan na ba, I think we should like at least we should talk about that a little bit nga, kanang, 'di ba there are many example, you probably know more than me, like there are many examples all over the world nga cities who are focusing more on actual people, meaning pedestrians, solo mobility vehicles, that are really nice cities, 'di ba?
Yes. I think we can start with having a cities with master plans. Actually, there's every city here in the Philippines or municipality are supposed to have this master plan. It's called CLUP, Comprehensive Land Use Plan. And then before making this master plan, they sort of put in the vision on how they want their city to look like in the future and everything. So part of this already talks of sustainability, in everything already. But this is often neglected. Uh, I think Cebu City doesn't have an updated CLUP yet. And then the in this master plan, it's supposed to contain all the projects already. It's already scheduled na ba eh. From road developments, from like hospitals, mga building and everything. Dapat planado na siya. But oftentimes, diri sa atoa, ang politician man gud ang magbuot kung sa iyang ganahan project. So it's
Mm,
out of the master plan. If you notice in different municipalities, kanang mga labi na bukid-bukid, common project lang jud is covered court. That's it. And
yeah.
then maybe multi-purpose area, and then maybe a little bit of road widening. But it's not really a comprehensive plan, like really for the people. Like if you want a street network developed, it should be connected with other areas in city and everything. So I think we should start there.
I wonder if
We
that's a
all have a
weakness with
country.
I wonder if that's a weakness of our system, no, because admit, yeah, because you're right nga, it's usually the politician who is pushing that forward, and the problem with when it's the politician, they all have a limited period in office. What is
Yes,
it, like 4 years, 6 years,
three,
3 years,
three
and a project, an infrastructure
goes
project
beyond.
goes way beyond. So I
Yes.
wonder if a system should be made nga we have like kanang people who work, kanang the ones who make these decisions, they're not elected ba, like they are part of, they are an employee, a government employee, in a sense nga they are assigned, and then they just, no, so you can have
Actually, that
somebody who's like 10 years same, or 10, 15, 20 years same position, yeah, just
doing the same job.
executing, yeah, just executing the plan, no.
Yes. Actually, that's The plan I mentioned earlier, that master plan, it already covers that. They know the limitations of the politicians, which is only up to 3 years for the mayors. So inside that master plan, there's also the list of projects that goes beyond from short term to long term. So the politicians should just refer to that master plan on what projects they're going to implement. And maybe the national agency, say for example, DILG or DPWH, should just focus on that, like what you just mentioned, maybe 10 years, maura dyan na yung trabaho, sige siya focus ana. So even if bisag kinsa na ang politician, bisag kontrapartido ang mosunod, the plan gets executed. So I think that's also another problem. If kontrapartido ka, I think it's evident in the you can see it in our city. We can. I think it's safe to say in our CCMC, it's supposed to be done a few years before, pa, but now
Is that the
it's still
hospital?
ongoing.
That's the hospital?
Yes, that's the
Oh, okay.
hospital. It's a public hospital, but where we don't have other hospitals right now. It's for the public, and we don't have one. We're a big city, and we don't have a public hospital.
Malagi. So that's one of the yeah. Well, I don't want to be kanang
Okay,
too
okay,
much
okay.
of a downer. Kay
I would go back to to pedestrian, biking, and quad. So
oh,
maybe
sige,
I'll
go.
just talk more about that. So you mentioned earlier that the pedestrian should be first, right?
Mm,
That's really correct. That's entirely correct. Pedestrian should go first. So if we um, convert that into transportation or in terms of infrastructure, it should be the sidewalks that should be developed first. But
yeah.
our side, sidewalks. Sometimes there's just the side, no walk, and then oftentimes there's really no side and walk. So yeah, that's the main priority, the sidewalks. Next are the cyclists. But the funny thing is, in Pasig, they also shared that, yeah, they recognize the importance of pedestrians, but now they're still they're focusing on the cyclists. But the interesting thing is that even though they're focusing on the cyclists, they also saw a surge of pedestrians. People begin to walk. Maybe because the bikes are slow, and then people feel safe to walk beside these bikes instead of having those fast moving vehicles right beside them. So it's a little interesting to know that even though they're focusing on the bikes, they instead also saw a surge of pedestrians walking.
So in Pasig, maybe I missed it because I was late to the webinar actually with the Pasig one. So the one in Pasig, so they really are focusing on the bike infrastructure, and then the pedestrians not so much kayo kanang
Not really. Sort of now lang during this pandemic period, ang na-focus nila is more on the katong mga bike lanes. But they're also focusing definitely on the pedestrians.
okay.
But definitely yes, they're focusing. I think part of their pedestrian improvements is to provide covered walks and everything.
Mm.
So, but yeah, they noticed lang that that interesting point now with the improvements of bike lanes, more and more people also walk.
Yeah, and then
It's really
it's and then also like so when I tell people that katong before the pandemic nga, ako I just commute with a bicycle. And then they'll be like, "Oh, yeah, 'di ba abog kayo? Nya init." No? And then actually, right, a lot of that is caused
yeah,
by cars. It's
yes.
'di ba? So,
If you wear something light colored, when you go back home, it's something dirty of a dirty shade already.
yeah, well, but when naanad ako like, murag just it's akong feeling before when I would bike commute for work would be so at least when I get home, murag gyud ko ni trabaho like like I'm sweaty na, ano ba? So like murag kag kanang you're not just you didn't just gonna go from one air conditioned spot to another, but like murag gyud kag ni trabaho, so it feels like hard work. So at least kanang work, okay, at least naka-exercise sa sad ko. Pero but that one is kanang that's why I think that's why I'm also pushing for it, but because I want Cebu to be a better city. And I don't know, man, goodbye. Like I visited, so there are some cities that I visited. Uh, Actually, what spurred me to commute was when I visited this Copenhagen. Now, granted, there's differences
Oh,
in
mm,
weather,
mm,
pero bye, I'm telling you, nindot gid kayo. Like kanang the city when you're walking around ba, makaingon ka nga more, wow, ngano nindot man kay ni ngari. It's like grabe ka nindot, and then I realized you look around, everybody's on bikes or walking. Nya dako kay difference, like dako gid kay difference. And then you can see that man a little bit in in a small way around Cebu. Like it's nice to walk in IT Park. It's nice to walk
yeah.
in Ayala, 'di ba?
Yes, yes.
Murag, so if we could do a version of that everywhere, you know, oh yeah, wait, you work for them, so I mean, diba? So like when you
Yes,
planned it, now you kind of like kanang sidewalk and a section for like trees, bush. I don't know. I don't know what you guys do, but that's
yes.
part of it, diba?
Yes, one good thing about working for Ayala is that they're really into sustainable developments. I mean, these road sections, these are really thought nga ginahon na jud na maayo nga okay, when you walk in this portion, you should be shaded. And then there should be an alternate spacing between the lights and the trees so that dili ma-block ang lamppost, ang yan lights sa trees and so on. So working in Ayala really taught me a lot of things really. We also were able to get we were also exposed to seminars for urban developments, and then the speakers are international speakers, which are really good speakers. And then you mentioned earlier about climate. Yes, there may be a lot of it's maybe very different there in Europe and here in the Philippines. But if you also take a look at our neighboring countries, I've been to SG also, and then it's the weather is really the same here as ours. It's really warm, but you get to see people walking. Now, why do they walk? Because it's because they're shaded. They have trees all around. Their sidewalks are wide. There are bike lanes, and then their bike. It's not just bike lanes. It's really a supported bike network. There's already bike parking, and then maybe for the workers they have showers, they have lockers for them to freshen up a bit. um and also I would just like to share, in our workplace of course we have bike racks, but beside our bike racks we definitely we have a specific place for to buy in our building for bikes, and right beside it is shower. So it's really convenient
Amo ba?
when you get. Yes, convenient kayo
Ah,
abot na ko, relax ka diyo, and then shower, and then go to the office. And then naka hot and cold pa ang shower. So it's one thing.
maybe in your house wala may hot and cold, ito sa
Yes.
workspace na hot and cold.
Dito ko maligo actually in the morning. So
Yeah.
yeah, it really encourages us people to work. It really encourages us working for them to try biking. They've already provided the support infra that we need, and I think this should be replicated by the government, because it's I don't know, it's a thing here in the Philippines that is the private developers who are doing the doing these initiatives, who are dictating the sustainable developments. And then uh, I, we also have good architects and planners and everything in the government, but I just don't know where it gets stuck. They've got plans, they've got policies for it, rules and regulations and everything, but somehow it just doesn't get implemented. So maybe it's high. It's really high. It's always high time for them to improve and develop already.
Yeah, that's why you're really right, in a way. So of course we're in the middle of a pandemic right now, and I mean it sucks in a way because so many things have changed, but also there is an opportunity to make this city even just a little bit better. Bisag gamay na
Yes.
lang, no?
Yes.
Unya, Yeah, and then I want like kanang it would be great ba if like all of the people who are cycling as a commute now continue cycling as a commute even after
Yes,
kanang everything gets back to normal. And then I think it should
yes,
we should also note nga kanang it actually benefits everybody, no?
yes,
Kanang
yes,
instead of you have people taking a jeepney for 1 kilometer, instead of them packing a jeepney kanang like super packed na noon kayo, they'll just take a bike to do that, whatever. They go to a convenience store, palit rag
yes, yes,
jeepney. Just that's a 1 kilometer bike ride. That's nothing. Or if you're a driver in the car, that's just less people using up space for roads because one car mostly it averages 1 or 2 people per car, but you're taking up so much road space.
space.
uh diba? Kanang ikaw ba like when you started, but you started, no, you started first kanang biking as a fun thing, and then you did commuting, no? This was before the
Yes,
pandemic.
yes, it shifted. Yes, I've been doing bike to work for 6 years already. Actually,
Wow,
6 years.
really?
Uh, um, I used to work near Robinson's Galleria, near the port area. So it was really dangerous to do some biking because there were a lot of big trucks there. And then
Mm,
I also so I had two jobs way back then. I also was an instructor in CIT for the architecture department, and then I worked for this contractor near the Galleria. So in the morning, I go to class. I bike to work from Mandaue, and then to CIT, and then maybe freshen up a bit there, and then after my class, I bike to the port area, and then I freshen up again because one good thing about my boss back then was he was really supportive of bikes. He made a bike parking for me. Shower was all access for me also, and then yeah, I think that's what made me do this for quite a long time already. The support. I'm fortunate enough to be working with people who are really supportive with bike to work initiatives.
and then I think that's what's important, no, just to encourage more and more people kanang to continue just biking. They need, because because like for example ikaw, you were biking to the port, and then that's not easy, like kan abog yun nga ra, it really is abog, di ba?
Yes, abog
Kanang
kayo. Yes.
it's not a nice place to bike. Di ba?
Yes, you
Like
really have to
alright.
have your protection because mapuling ka. It's certain nga mapuling jud ka if di ka magkuan mag-glasses.
Yeah, so
And
I
then
think keep going.
fun. We have this bike ordinance in Cebu City mentioning about the provision of bike racks for establishments. But it's not implemented. There's been this was pre-COVID pa. I think the
Yeah.
ordinance was way back 2014 pa siya. So there's already an ordinance, but wala siya na-implement. Now in Pasig, they also have this same provision to have establishments provide their bike racks. And then one good thing about Pasig is that they really look into it. So there's the ordinance already, and then the establishments are putting up their bike racks. But they also noticed that these establishments doesn't really care where to put their bike racks. For example, they put it in basement three, which is really
Yeah.
inconvenient for the cyclists. So they've also looked into that, and now they're looking at improving the guidelines for the provisions of bike racks. So I think we need something like that, implementation, and then just keep on looking at it, follow throughs, just to keep on improving it, and then maybe we can get to can replicate what other countries are doing.
Yeah, well, like what I wanted to get to was that we need to find ways to encourage people to continue doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Bakay like you and me, let's say bati gihapon kay ang conditions for bike, but you and I will
Still,
probably still bike. I mean, di ba?
yes, yes, it
But we're not the target market. Like the target
Yes.
market is the people who are not necessarily uh kanang cyclists to begin with. They just want the easiest way to get to work, to move from point A to point B. And they need to be encouraged to do that, and kana like showers in their workplace, better public parking, better kana by the bike lanes for me is huge. Kadang just
Yes.
protected bike lanes. Wow.
Ang
Uh,
feeling ba pag agi nimo sa Talisay bike lanes lahira no kanang when you pass by nga uy nay bike lane murag nindot kayo ba murag
well,
asa lahayang feeling.
I'll be honest with you, by the Talisay bike lane was kind of sketchy.
Okay.
Ang katong ang
Okay.
katong bike lane sa ganahan ko sa AS Fortuna kato kay Murag. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. That's what
Is
I'm
the
naagihan ako but the Talisay I haven't been there yet.
the
Yeah.
Talisay one. I'm really happy it's there. Ha? Pero like kana they really have sections ka walay sidewalk, and you can't blame the pedestrian, but like where else are they going to walk,
Oh,
'di ba?
yeah.
Um kana another thing that I was wondering sa Baiba is like, would you know how they implement all of these rules? So like somebody actually commented, kani si Tony Gallon, no? So he commented, when I notice our existing bike lane, seems no one implements the law controlling the usage of bike lanes. Of course, it's still early. Hope this becomes an advocacy or passion on each LG. Would you know who kanang uh who's supposed to implement these things? Like I don't even know the rules sa bike lane. Let's say I'm a car and I need to drop somebody off on the sidewalk. Uh what's the rule there? Am I allowed to go in the bike lane? I guess not. So is the bike lane like the end of where the car is supposed to go?
No, actually, this should be the planning of the bike lane should be integrated with the transport planning stuff like the bus stops, the jeepney stops. So
Mm.
before we really dedicate our bike lanes, we should identify first where these bus stops are so that we can design them. The full integration of the bus stops and the bike lane should be designed para safe siya. For example lang, it doesn't really end with the bike lane. May pwede na siya mo sulod gamay but just keep a small portion for the bikes to still pass. But the bikers on their place, they should also yield for the pedestrians. Maybe they walk their bike, or maybe they can just ride their bike, but really really slow. So it should be a coordinated plan.
Yeah,
Separate.
but
It should. Yes, yes.
sorry, but for example, like a private vehicle, and they just want to drop somebody off on the sidewalk. Uh, I don't know. Are they allowed to just? What's man na usually? I'm. Well, na
Um.
ba? This is part of the
Yeah.
problem of somebody
Yes.
who lives in a place that there's never been a bike lane. I don't even know what the correct thing is to do, diba?
Um. There are. This can be. I think this can be treated in the road markings. Say for example, I think we should really establish those stops. Um,
Mm.
I think that's just the. I think that's one of the solutions for this. But for the private vehicles, it's a, it's a bit tough pa sa na siya. I think pwede na siya daugon sa road markings. For example, this is again it's another it's just another identifying the stops lang, but this time for private vehicles. They can't stop anywhere, but they it should be evenly distributed. Like for example, if i-drop ka from one place, dili ra kay kalayo sa imong lakwan.
Yeah,
So maybe different stops can be identified for this, and then
yeah.
maybe paint on the road for the bike lanes different lang.
It's gonna be interesting. Let's say if it pushes through and everything, and then you will have all of these different situations that pop up that will have to be
Yes,
addressed. And
yes,
Mona, like Yeah, in fact, that's what somebody did in one of the webinars. They brought it up right away, and yeah, then in my head, I kept thinking, well, we've already decided that. Diba, I think there was a presentation. There was a triangle of what's important. Yeah, the pinaka top was pedestrian. Then the next
Yes,
one
the
is
bikers.
the bikers, and then
This,
the next one.
yeah,
So Murag, if you're gonna base it on that, on that.
yes.
What was that called? That triangle by what was that? Do you
Um,
do you remember that?
I think it's the transportation hierarchy.
Mm,
Yeah, it's a transportation hierarchy. It's the inverted, actually inverted, because yun nga, the pedestrians na are on top. Yeah, but I think there's really a lot of challenges pa for their bike lanes. That's why for now it's really a good start to just paint it lang sa just to inculcate that cycling culture gani. And then lahi man gud if naa na ang lines kay murag ang mga tao murag medyo maanad na ba. And then maybe
yeah.
from there we can develop the barriers na, the stops na. And then I think people won't have tong mga nasa auto if naa ng barriers, wala na jud sila choice. Mangita jud sila atong stops na para makalugar sila. If we were to refer from that atong pyramid nga the pedestrians and the cyclists should be prioritized. So it's the cars that must adjust for the pedestrian.
Yeah, and then I think it also should be noted that if I'm not mistaken, that studies have shown that if you prioritize pedestrians and bike lanes, generally speaking, it's good for the economy. It's
Yes,
diba? That's
yes,
that's the other thing. It's actually good for everybody involved. No?
yes, because
Uh
basically people who walk or people who go on bike, they have a better appreciation of what's on the street.
yeah.
For example, we're just walking and then kita kag tindahan, pwede ka mosulod. But if you were on a car, uy, lapas na ka. So motuyok pa ka, mita pa kag parking. Same with the bikes, dali ra kayo padapli na ang bike. And then yeah, it's been proven, there's been studies that prove that yeah, the bikes and the pedestrians are good for the local economy.
So by kanang well, we're almost at the hour mark.
Okay.
I wanted to make sure I get to ask you so where are we now in terms of like what kind of efforts are you guys doing gihapon? Like do you still have more webinars with kanang government or private sector coming up?
Mm.
What's
On
happening
the
behind the scenes?
BTS side,
Sure.
for us BTS, I think there's a webinar tomorrow, Monday. This is the part two of the webinar that the one that I invited you. This is
Mm,
where the LGUs are going to present they were given assignments actually. They were given assignment to make up to make their cycling networks. That's why there's a bit of a stretch during the scheduling. The first one was in August 10 and tomorrow August 17. This was to give them time to develop their cycling network. So by tomorrow we can get to see the full extent of their planning and their and other initiatives that they're currently into. So maybe we can do an update to that sa among page sa BTS. We can show which municipalities are really leading the way and which aren't. And then
that's a
just
good
to see,
idea, by.
yes,
That's
maybe we'll make a poll.
gonna make it competitive. You know how people like compete with each other. Huh.
They say that Cebu City is like the ones in the Tagalog movies, like magpakulata-kulata ka sa sugod and then arena sa last mo bawi. So I
Maita.
hope that's true. And then
So
others kuan we also just recently I think you noticed the one, the Tindak Kahayag project.
I saw that on your Facebook
Yeah.
page. Can you
Yeah,
talk
yeah.
about that? That was yesterday for you guys, diba?
Yes, yes. Actually, they've been doing it for quite a while already. I think they've already distributed. This is their third time with us. Now they
Wait, wait, wait. For the what did you say? Tindak
okay,
kahayag?
just
What is
yes,
that?
the Tindak Kahayag is a bike visibility project. It's initiated by two ladies actually from Lapu-Lapu, and then They make some vest, reflective vests for cyclists, and just give it to them, just random cyclists passing by, and then they just give it away. So they I think they replicated what BUM in Manila did in EDSA, where they were also giving away some reflective vests. So basically, they make they ask for donations, and then they had their own sastre, which was also helping. At the same time, it was helping the local economy. So
Yeah.
they asked for the sastre, and then they distributed it, and then there's a second batch, and then in the third batch we were invited by them, and then we distributed the vest in Mandaue, in Magikay. It was really a nice experience, and then people were just sort of, at first they were shocked, and maybe we were selling something because we were waving this vest in their faces while they're passing by. The libre ni libre, and then when you say libre, they stop and then they smile. Eh, it was really a nice experience. I think they we're going to continue that initiative for the BTS. We're just trying to look for the funds, and then we're also trying to contact with us Cebu Leads Foundation. We are trying to talk to universities because the universities are one of the best places to talk or promote this kind of initiative. Students are really would be really interested to have bikes in their schools. Um, during my time in CIT as a faculty instructor, we made this small little club called Arkisikad, and students, there were really many students were interested, and then we got to do some rides, and then I think they're also up for volunteering if needed. So it's one way of promoting the cycling culture, talking to different universities and the students. So for now, I think that's it for the BTS.
For the webinar, by if I mean, is it open? Kanang, is it something that you
Uh,
can like I can get
I,
a link to it just in case
uh,
malibre ko?
I yeah, I think I can give you the link. Unfortunately, they're not doing it in Facebook Live anymore, but yeah, I think I can provide you the link.
Sige, if that's okay.
Mm.
If you're not allowed to, then no problem.
It's okay. They're just not doing it in Facebook, but I think I can give you the link.
Yeah, I would be interested to see if like what's happening ba. Kay kana lagi like a lot of people, they don't know what's happening behind the scenes of all of this, and
Yes, yes. Oh,
it's in fairness, it's a lot more complicated than it seems. No, it really is more complicated than just painting a line on the road in a way.
yes. Oh,
No, that's really just the first step. No,
yes.
and yeah, but I
Sometimes
just wanna. Oh,
maglingaw na lang. Basta murag maabot ka sa point nga kinsa man ato storyahon jud ani kay murag taod-taod naman ta ani. But yeah, I think that's the way it is. Sadly, that's the way it is.
yeah, honestly, bay na katong like a couple of months back, katong si Mayor Labella ba, he posted nga murag he posted on Facebook. Did you see that? Kada he posted on
Yes,
Facebook.
June 7.
Okay. So, but admittedly, he has been under a lot of pressure lately.
Yeah,
but
he's got his
uh,
plate full. Yeah,
but
he's currently under fire.
hopefully
One
he
good thing
can.
about Cebu City, the planning department, we're really in good. We're really doing some collaborations. The network that they made, they also consulted us. We even overlapped it with our imaginary cycling network, and it's sort of it was quite similar, more or less, but there were just some segments na lahi. But yeah, I'm talking about the planning department, because there are other departments in the city hall. So the planning department is really good. They're talking to us. Same with
We
Mandaue
just
planning department.
okay.
Yes.
The Cebu City just needs the executing department, whoever that is.
Yeah. Yeah,
Well,
planning is
anyway,
there.
by
Planning is there.
just I'm really happy to talk to you, and I'd really like to thank you for helping encouraging not only encouraging people to bike and commute, but more importantly at this point, uh, reaching out to the LGUs, the government, whoever, kanang officials to actually do something about it, because uh, I can't imagine that work to be easy. No.
Yeah, and I'm not complaining, but we're doing this on the sides. We have full-time jobs, and sometimes yeah, the conflict jud like the meetings. So we take turns. The three of us, Mark and Darren, we take turns on who's going to attend the next meeting, who's going to present in the next meeting, and so on. So we're just hoping that many maybe more people are going to support this. We're just maybe if they have their own initiatives, just like the Tindak project, just do it. There's not one good thing about this is something that you can be proud of. It's the sense of the volunteering, um, the sense of being able to volunteer is just really different. You make something good out of this pandemic, and then it's not just for you but for the rest of the people also here in the city, so it's a really nice experience.
Yeah. So before we end, by is there anything that I missed? Anything that you might want to talk about?
mm, Maybe I just have like to say hi to Mark and Darren. Maybe they're listening right now, and
Oh yeah,
just
actually
other
daghan kag shoutouts ha kanang I mean
the
if you
maybe
look
my
at the comments.
okay, maybe
No?
these are some of my students.
Yeah, or I don't know na wayok kining bata pa shout out. No.
Sige, shout out na lang sa tanan nagpa-shout out.
Yeah, where can people find you online by?
uh we're in BTS Plus, Baktas Tindak Society Plus. We can take turns in. We have this very responsive banda nga kuan nga icon, so maybe we really are responsive. We're just there. You can look at us on Facebook. We have yet to improve our social media managing skills. Maybe we can do more infographics and everything. So yeah, you can reach us through Facebook.
All right. Okay. Thanks, Baya.
Oh, may problema. See you on the trails na lang, isang gani.
Kita bay. Bike ta. Bike ta.
Oo. Mention naman nimo, pwede ko mulusot, 'di ba? From Mandawi. So mulusot ako.
Yeah. Yeah, so what I do is I just they actually to be fair, like the in the checkpoints, they don't seem to be very strict with the cyclists. No, but I do bring a certificate of employment, and if you tell them exercise, actually exercise is allowed. They really said nga actually sir, exercise is allowed. Nga na gid sila nako. So pwede ra gyud, no? Oh, and yeah, they don't seem to, well, as of today, they don't seem to be that strict with the cyclists in terms of checking for documents. But still, I always bring a COE and quarantine pass if I need to.
Mm,
No.
just in case
So,
basin pasayawon ka sa plaza or anything.
lagi na tinood ba yan na. All right. Ako na yan ang broadcast by ha.
Okay, sige, sige.
Okay.